Welcome back to Neurodivergent, Not Broken. Today's episode is very special because I am joined by my best friend of 21 years, Ashley.
Yes.
She is a mom of two, a teenager and her almost 7-year-old son, Huxley, who was diagnosed autistic at 2. Ashley and her wife, Sharia, have built their parenting around a simple but powerful idea: let them lead. This conversation, me and Ashley are going to talk about what it looks like in their home, their choices they've made, and the joy that come from following Huxley's cues instead of forcing him into a mold. This is one about advocacy, everyday strategies, and above all, the joy of letting our kids lead. Welcome, Ashley.
Hello.
Hello. What's your quick elevator pitch of your short story, who you are?
Who I am. Oh gosh. Well, you kind
No
of covered it.
pressure.
I'm a mom, 2 kids, Terry's spouse, your wife, work in the surrogacy world. And yeah, learning every day from our son. So glad to be here and talk about that. And like Sam said, been friends for 21 years, which is crazy. So yeah, this will be fun.
Let's talk about why the idea behind us wanting to do this episode. I remember you sitting in the shampoo chair at the
Yeah.
salon and being like, oh my God, we need to do an episode called Let Them Lead. And that wasn't that long ago. Maybe
No,
like
couple
the
weeks.
summer.
Yeah.
And here we are now. Tell me, where does that come from you? Why is that important to you?
I just feel like over time, like over the years, obviously Huxley was diagnosed at 2. And so over the years of learning from him and like letting him take the lead on things has changed our life significantly since his diagnosis. And whenever like other parents are asking me about it, I feel like my conversations are always led with like letting them lead, let him lead, let him show you what he needs. He's very good about doing that. And I get that not every kid is the same way, but I feel like in a sense, letting them like take the reins and show you what they need as opposed of doing like the textbook, because we don't have a textbook, not even for neurotypical kids. There's not a textbook, but they like to think there is, and that all these kids need to hit these milestones at the exact same time and all these things. But the one thing that this has taught me is that they don't, like, every child is going to be different. Expecting them to hit these milestones, do the jump at when you say jump, do all these things is going to be something it's only going to stress you out more. And I feel like just letting him lead, letting him show us what he needs, what he wants, what we need to do has opened a lot of like doors for us, and also has made it where we're not as stressed or feeling like we're failing, or not that we don't have those moments. But so I just feel like the center of a lot of the conversations I have around like, how do you handle this? Like, is what do you mean? Like, we let him lead. Like, and so when you and I were talking about it in the chair, I feel like I don't even remember our specific conversation, but I remember like so much of what we were talking about was like certain experiences with our children and how much easier it got for us when we let them lead. So I was like, this would be a perfect episode because I feel like I wish I had known this when I first received that diagnosis.
Let's talk about that diagnosis. When this all first started for you guys, like, when did you realize that you wanted is an evaluation for him or an assessment?
We went for one of his like normal checkup. He must have been like 16 to 18 months old. And we brought him in for an appointment, regular checkup. And they had us fill out all those papers that they do at those milestone appointments. Like, is he saying a full sentence? Is he stringing 3 words together? Is he playing this game and doing that game and all these things? And so I filled it out honestly. And then I remember going back in the room and the doctor reviewed it and she was like, wait a minute. She set it down, then she picked it up. She's like, wait a minute. She looked at it again. And I was like, oh, what? Like, what's wrong? And she was like, oh, I had like a brief like concern about potential autism, but I'm not worried about it. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay.
That's kind of a weird thing to say. I
Yeah,
have
I was
this
like,
concern, but don't worry about it.
that's a large thing to just like drop and then like move past. But I was like, okay, he friggin' hates being here. So I was just trying to survive the appointment. Came home, I couldn't get it out of my head. I like started researching it, playing that comparison game of like, here he's like, these are the things they're saying. I would notice, and this is what I'm noticing. And so I started talking to Sharia about it, and I'm like, she blew it off like it was nothing, but I feel like this was something. So I remember I could not get it out of my head at like 4:40 something, which the doctor's office closed like 5. I called back and I put in a call to the nurse, and I was like, I wanted to ask my doctor. She brought up this, potentially being concerned about autism. I can't stop thinking about it and I want to talk to her about it. She calls me back a few minutes later and she's like, oh my gosh, put it out of your head. Don't ever worry about it again. It was just a brief concern. I don't want you to worry about it. I'm like, okay, but I did do some research. I think it is. It could be this. And
Wait,
she
the
was like,
nurse
no,
or
no,
the
no.
doctor told you that?
The doctor,
Okay.
his pediatrician. And I was like, okay. She's like, nope, I don't want you to think about it for another second. I'm sorry I put it in your head, but I'm not worried about it. I was like, okay. For some reason, I could not get it out of my head. Could not stop thinking about it. Could not stop thinking about it. So then we ended up getting a referral for a sleep doctor because he didn't sleep. Like he would sleep 2 hours a night and be fully functioning all day. It was a nightmare. And it was causing a psychosis between me and Sharia because it was like we were trying to rock a child to sleep that just was not
That wouldn't
tired.
sleep.
But to us, it was like, how are you not tired? This is not typical. Of course, it wasn't typical. So then they did their diagnosis of night waking, and they also said they'd be shocked if he wasn't diagnosed autistic. And I was like, well, we're
Did you
still
bring
fighting
that
for
up to
this.
them about the autism, or did they mention it?
I
Remember?
mentioned it in my like intake paperwork that like it was something we have been thinking about, but our doctor said not to be worried about it. And so then we got a referral to the Minnesota Autism Center. It was during COVID time, so they were like doing video consults with us for a little while because they would not diagnose him until he was 2. So they were like, there's no point in coming for the full assessment until he's at least 2 or close to 2. Like they were keeping an eye on him. Every couple months we'd have a Zoom call. And they were like, same thing. We highly suspect it. We don't want to put that label on anything until he's 2. Then we went in for the assessment, and then that's when we found out that, we were right to keep pushing for it, and he was diagnosed autistic. But yeah, I'm thankful that I did not let it go.
I'm just thinking, like, how many other people would just be like, oh, okay, doctor says, I don't know, don't worry about
Yeah.
it. Get it out of your head.
And honestly, I wasn't thinking about it until she said that because he was just under 2. I had a daughter first, so like girls naturally progress and like learn faster. And he was my baby. I mean, they had a 9-year age gap, and like we had lost a child before him. So like I won't lie, I babied this baby. Like he is and was my like precious rainbow miracle that I dreamed about. He was babied, like not smothering him, but he was baby. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe he's just like, I hold him too much. He's in a house full of women. Maybe he's not ready to talk yet because we talk for him. And he was 2.
He was 2.
Sorry, but he has time to still do all these things. It wasn't a thought to me. Obviously, also, autism wasn't something super known to me. So I wasn't like, hey, this could be it. Where now,
Yeah.
I would know and be like, hey, maybe we should talk about this. But it wasn't until she mentioned that. Yes, I'm glad she mentioned it, but I'm not happy that she mentioned it and then blew it off.
And then went back on it.
Yeah.
So after that experience, how did it feel in like Minnesota Autism Center when you guys finally, like, did you go into that assessment feeling like unsure about what they would tell you, or were you like, I think this might be it? And then when they did tell you, like, how does that feel?
Yeah, I think at that point we kind of already knew. We had been doing our own research so much because I felt like, how else am I going to learn? And so I was researching so much, watching so many videos, reading so many books that I kind of had it in my head that like this is what it is. So I don't think it was surprising. I think I was ready for that diagnosis, but at the same time, no one can quite prepare you. I remember me and Sharia weren't shocked at all because I think we were so prepared for it, and we knew in our heart, like we knew our child and we knew this was what it was going to be. I remember us being like, okay, we get an hour to cry about this, to mourn maybe what we thought, was going to happen. And like, he could surprise us and do a million things, but like at the time in our heads, it was like, he's never going to play football, or he's never going to, there's certain little things where you like take that minute to just be like, okay, this is going to be different. Life might be harder. We took an hour to cry about it, and then we decided we were going to celebrate it. And I also think a big part of it was at that feedback appointment, they say a lot of really gross, heavy shit. I think that is also what caused the emotion, is like, you never want to sit there and listen to somebody tell you all the things your child's never going to do, the things they're never going to say. I remember just thinking, watch him. Like, watch him do those things you're saying he's not gonna do. And we did question a lot of things that they said to us, and they didn't have answers for us. So I think the heaviness of that feedback appointment also caused the emotion and not so much the diagnosis itself. And I just remember thinking this could be done so much better
Right.
for
I mean,
parents.
it seems like it was so pathologized of like, here's this big scary thing that like, ick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a whole lot of, like, they went through all the things that they assessed him on and what he we had tested him on this, and he couldn't do it. We tested on this, he didn't do it. He didn't respond how we wanted him to respond. He didn't like, everything was he couldn't, he didn't, he wouldn't, he's not going to. And then, just putting, like, the levels on it and, just that whole thing felt really heavy, and I also felt like it was just so gross because I had done my research when I would fight back on things that they would, like, almost stutter and, like, nobody's ever questioned us on these. It's like a blanket, like, solving like, they just tell every single kid, every single parent the same solution, and
Mhm.
it's not a good one, and so
Mhm.
you just leave feeling
Mhm.
defeated, and so, we just since we already knew, I also think that helped. It wasn't a huge shock to us, but we did give ourselves an hour to kinda cry and feel the heaviness of the feedback meeting, and then we were like, "You got your autism diagnosis," and we celebrated, and we had a party. I guess that's how we kinda handled getting the diagnosis.
If you could go back to that you on that day, what would you say now? What would you tell
Gosh,
yourself?
I don't think I would have cried. I mean, I guess I wouldn't. I can't take back how the feedback appointment made me feel. I think anybody would feel heavy and defeated in that moment, but I wouldn't have mourned the things he wasn't going to do and the things he wasn't going to ever say and, all those things. I would have not mourned that because I would have known what I know now is that it could happen and it very well may. That life is also so beautiful. Like all the things we thought we'd miss out on are gained back in all the beautiful things that we never thought we'd appreciate. He makes us appreciate the small things so much more and like sit and see the beauty in a rock. There's just little things that it brings so much more beauty to our lives and also just understanding of others. And not that I didn't have that, I feel like I did have that always, but to a different level.
Well, yeah, that hits different
Yeah.
when it's your own
Yeah, and just,
people.
like, I wish I had known to go back and, like, follow more groups of people, Instagram pages and Facebook groups and things like that of people who have been through this and finding your people, which is huge because everybody kinda sees it a little differently, and you kinda gotta see where the people that don't agree with the way you do things and you don't agree with the way they do things, because that will just cause you I mean, with anything in life, right, everybody has differences, but it can make you angry. Can
Mhm.
make you really angry to see,
Mhm.
you know but yeah, I wouldn't take that as much time to mourn it, and I feel like we didn't really, but I wouldn't have taken it so much to heart the feedback they gave us because they've never talked to us again. Their opinion
No, that
didn't
was
really
it.
matter that much. Yeah, like I got the
No.
diagnosis that we needed and that's all I needed to take from that. I didn't need to take to heart so much the things they said to me. It's hard not to when it's a doctor though, telling you all these things, but yeah, that's what I would change. I guess it's hard to put heart behind like medical stuff and I see that, but I almost wish it was somebody that like there was a therapist there or something who specializes in helping parents cope with this. And maybe that's who delivers the diagnosis, or maybe the doctor's there, but there's a therapist there to be like, okay, I'm going to give you the official diagnosis and then I'm going to let you chat with so and so. I also wish they had more options for things that you can do. They were like, he is a level, I can't even remember, so I'm making this up because we don't
Mhm.
go off of this, but
Mhm.
level 3, which it was like severely autistic, and he needs 40 hours a week of ABA therapy. He was 2. That's a full-time job for a 2-year-old. And I remember being like, okay, and what if I don't want to do that? What if we're not going to do that? And that's when they, like, stuttered and, like, could not they're like, "That's what we recommend. We have no other option
There's
for
no
you."
other option.
And I'm like, "Okay, well, I can tell you right now we won't be doing that." He's 2 and it's expected that you drop him off there and leave. So you send your 2-year-old to a 40-hour job that you're not allowed to be there, like, that just feels like abandonment in my opinion. I mean, I get parents work, like, that's different, right? Like, and I guess it could be compared to, like, childcare, but this is different.
Yeah. And
But
you
yeah,
had been with him all the whole time, like,
right.
and they're like, "You're just expecting you to, hey, guess what?
Drop him off.
You're not going to see your
Yeah.
kid for 40 hours a week now."
Yeah, I wish they had more, options. Like they could say, you could do ABA if that's what they want to recommend, or You can do speech, you can do OT,
Huh?
or you could do no therapies and let them lead, or you can, and here's some options too for the parents to cope. Here's some support groups. Here's some therapists you can talk to. Here's an option to pay for a couple therapy sessions with our therapist. Something, it's literally just like, this is
That's
our
it.
recommendation. Goodbye. Good luck and goodbye. And so that's just what I think needs to be different overall. And maybe some places do it like that. Ours felt very clinical. And thank God I was doing my own research, because otherwise I would have, I mean, and I can't imagine. My heart always goes out to these parents that haven't researched, and they have the same feedback appointment we did. Like, I could have processed that a lot differently if I didn't do my own research.
After that, how did that change the next 30 days for you guys after that diagnosis? Like, did you do anything different? What was your mindset about it? And did you take any different actions or like not? Obviously, you chose not to do ABA. Was there an initial shift of like, oh, okay, now that we know this, here's what we're going to kind of do and not do, or just kind of let it be because it was so new and fresh?
Um, I mean, we knew right off the bat we weren't going to do ABA. I had done a lot of research on ABA, and I had heard a lot about from autistic adults about the trauma that it caused. And just from my own research of understanding what it was and what they do there, it wasn't something I was interested in for our child. And Shri and I had talked about it, and I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. That's not even in my head. We did sign him up right away for occupational therapy and speech, and we were doing that once a week at first. And we got lucky. We had a great speech therapist, a fantastic OT, and he really liked it because they did let him lead. I mean, they let him show up there. They let him, if he needed to do it outside the room or in the room or in the waiting room or standing on a table or whatever, they let him just do that. And they just kind of followed his cues and his lead. And I just remember them saying he was so good at self regulating at 2 years old. And so they were just shocked. They're like, most 2-year-olds would never know how to do this. And so we just took a lot of lessons from the things they were teaching us. I learned a lot of things about proprioceptive input and things like that, that like I would have never known the names to or what he needed and
You're like, yeah, a couple
when.
weeks ago, I didn't know what that meant, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I took a lot of lessons in that, and we did that for a while. Like in the summer when it's nice outside, he could not understand leaving home in the backyard to go to these appointments inside in this little room. Yeah. So that's another thing. We let him lead in that sense. Like, okay, he's getting enough OT outside running around in nature. We decided to put those things on hold, and we did, we would do no summers and then we go back, and now we haven't done speech or OT for a while just because we figured it out at home. And I would love to set up like speech and OT at home for him, because I think it's one thing to learn these skills in a different setting, but then to come home and apply them for him can feel so different. So I want somebody to come here with his things or what we should get, and like, make sure that he has all that stuff here. But yeah, that's in the first 30 days, we just did the speech and OT. We did a lot more research of our own, found out what we should and shouldn't do. We started getting all the sensory stuff for home. I mean, not a lot changed for us other than starting speech and OT, I guess. And I think just having the reason for a lot of the things that we had been going through for 2 years was just a breath of fresh air, and knowing how to handle that.
yeah, when you have that understanding and information, like you could go about that
Yeah.
differently. What after that, what differences in routines, accommodations, what do you think made the biggest difference up until this
Gosh.
point? Oh, it's a big question.
Yeah, it is, and it's a lot. It's literally everything comes back to letting him lead. There was a lot I had to let go of. I'm very type A. I'm a clean freak. I had to like let go of the idea that like he wants to have like toys lined up in big lines all over my house and piles of candy he's not eating, but they're color coordinated in piles everywhere. He might randomly get an idea that he wants the pillows from my bed on the dining room floor for whatever reason that day, and I just need to let that be, because moving it even an inch, he knows, and that could just throw off his whole day. So like just a lot of it was me letting go of like this control that I felt that I needed to have. And a lot of that comes from my own childhood, but it was like he's teaching me to be like, this is fine. Why did
Yes.
I care so much that the throw
Yes.
pillows be exactly how they were? It's affecting nothing.
Nothing.
Like, yeah, I could clean at the end of the day. So, I mean, I feel like I let go of a lot of that stuff, which helped him and myself, like, because it could stress me out. And
I
then also
remember
just, like, let Oh, go
I
ahead.
remember going to your house like that. I remember the first time I saw the piles of candy on the floor, and I was like, "Oh my g" like, normally, that would have I've
It would've
never
sent me
s
into a psychotic
a
spiral.
spiral, and I was like, "Wow, like, this is different?"
My sister
And you're
always
just
tells
like,
Yep, whatever. My sister always tells her husband that if you had met Ashley before Huxley, like, you wouldn't even recognize her now, like,
"No,
and he was like, "What?" She was like, "She would know if, like, a decoration was tilted on the wall," and he was like, "Ashley, no. No way." And she's like, "Yeah." We like, they everyone used to mess with me, like, moving decorations, and I would know because I was so OCD type A about everything, and yeah, now it's like you would never know that was the old me, like, seeing my house
no."
now. So, yeah, we just let him do his thing all day. This is his safe space. He does his thing. If he's, like, moving all my decorations off the dining room table and he's got his whole life posted up on it, then that's what it's gonna be today, and I'll clean it up at night. And then letting him have his iPad was a huge thing. You know, there's such a stigma between like screen time. Something I've learned is like that's his safe space. It's something he can always count on being exactly the same. His movies will not change. And so he more now than when he was little, he'll set it and leave it and play and do things. But for a while, like I mean, and he just needs to know it's there. And, you know, I would try to be like, you know, we're not going to bring that out to the park. We're going to leave it in the car, and he would have the worst time at the park. But if I let him just bring the iPad, set it somewhere, just
Yes.
knowing it's there, he can enjoy his time. And so I don't really give a shit how parents look at me. If he's got his iPad while he's bouncing at the trampoline park, like he's regulated and
He's
he's happy.
regulated.
And I
Yes.
don't care. And if it breaks, that's on me. So yeah, that's a big thing. You know, we just he's got a rotation of iPads, and I don't care who's gonna judge me for that. Like it helps him stay regulated, and that's something you know, we just let him do what he needs to do.
What would you say to a parent who is judging themselves and or worried about other people judging them when it comes to the screens? Like, I know that's a big one for people because there's so much like just parenting in general. Like screens are bad, screens are bad, screens are bad, and it's like okay, there are kids that this is a regulation tool. Why make it harder than it needs to be if
Yeah.
it is helping? Like,
Yeah.
why?
I think the biggest thing for me was learning because I don't remember who it was, like if it was his OT or if it was something I had learned from another parent, but it was like this is the constant for them. Like the world around them is forever changing, but this is something that they know every time they look down at it and they pick that spot in the movie that just brings them joy, they're gonna find that there. And so if we take them out of their safe space and we bring them to Target or TJ Maxx, you know, or a park with a bunch of people, and they're like, they know they can't control any of that stuff around them and everything is new. They can look down on that screen and see something that will bring them calm, and they see their constant, and it just resets them. That changed the game for me in that sense of being like, okay, he needs that. It's not just me being a lazy parent who's allowing screen time. This is something he needs. And actually, if people knew a day in my life with those iPads, you would know it's actually not me taking the easy way because he breaks them. He needs like them clean 24/7. If a single app doesn't update, that could be a nightmare for my family for the whole day. So like it isn't me taking the easy way. It's something that brings him that constant that he needs. And then I just stopped caring, you know, like if somebody's like, I see parents staring at me sometimes at the trampoline park because he's running around wild with the iPad in his hand. And I'm like, do you have a question? I can answer anything you have a question about.
Mhm, mhm.
Like, that's fine with me. If you want to ask me about it, you can, but don't just silently judge because you have no idea.
So they have no idea. Yeah.
So I just think not caring. I mean, sometimes it's hard. I know it's hard, but they don't know your life. They can judge. They can think, okay, she's lazy and is letting her kid have screen time. I would never do that. Like, they don't know.
They
So,
don't.
and a lot of the time you could say, do you have a question? Are you curious why he has his iPad at the trampoline park? Ask me.
Has anybody actually said yes, like, engage with you in that?
Yeah, I've said, "Do you have a question?" And they'll say, "Yeah, like, what if it breaks or something?" And I'm like, "He's autistic and this brings him a sense of peace to have it with him, and if it breaks, we'll buy him a new one. That's
That
on
easy.
me. If he
Yeah.
sets it down and another kid jumps on it, I'm not gonna blame your kid. We brought it
No.
to the trampoline park. I
Yep.
fully understand that."
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I've had people ask. Otherwise, they'll just stare and I'll smile and wave at them like, "I'm right here. You can ask me
Yeah.
if you
I
want
can I
to."
can see you and you can talk to me about it, but
Yeah. It used to be really, really hard for me, so I can understand that, like, that would be something that's difficult, and I just think, some things I'm very outspoken about and some things I'm very, like and I never I'm so protective of him, I don't want people to judge him, so I think I had learned that from another mom who she's like, "Do you have a question? Or do
Mhm.
you have I can answer any questions you have," and I'm like, "I love that," because
Yes.
you can sit and judge all you want, but do you wanna actually
But
ask
you
me about
actually
it?
wanna
Y
engage in this and learn more
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah, I'm happy to
understand.
teach you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Are
so
we coming at this from a place of curiosity and wanting to
right.
learn more about other people or just being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe them," like,
Yeah.
wow.
But they probably go home like, "This lady's kid had her iPad at the trampoline park today," like and that's fine, go ahead, but, like, yeah, if you're not gonna, either ask me a question or move on to the other end of the trampoline park and
It's the,
worry about
"Bitch, you
yourself.
don't know my life."
Yeah, but I think getting comfortable with saying, like, "Do you have a question for me?" Because that also opens up that opportunity of you, like, educating and, like, maybe it'll help the next mom who's at the park with her kid's iPad, like,
It all
hopefully
helps
they let
change
you
the
take that
stigma.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Any other, like, big accommodation changes that have really helped you guys?
I guess, like, with family gatherings and things like that mainly happen here at our house. If we get invited to other things, we may try, but most of the time, we like to make sure he has his safe places, and most of our family and friends understand that and know that if we're gonna be at something, it's usually gonna be because it's here, at our home where he has, his safe spots and stuff like that. So I feel like just saying no has been a huge thing for me. I'm a people pleaser, but I've gotten comfortable saying we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna
Yeah,
come.
that's been a
That
huge
sounds like a
shift
nightmare for
for
Huxley.
you to be,
Yeah.
like, advocating for him and not that you would have never you would have always done that, but it's really kinda pushed you into this new place of, like, not always being people pleasing,
Mhm.
and that's gotta be empowering for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with my kids, I'm pretty good about saying no to draw their boundaries, but having them for myself was always really tough, but, like, obviously being that he's young, that I'm very much a part of those decisions, and that's also exhausting and emotional and everything for me when I have to, like, put him in those situations, and then I have to deal with regulating him when we get home.
Well, and that's the thing,
Well,
you
not
pay
just
for
me, I
that
mean, my wife as
afterwards.
well, but
Yeah,
yeah.
your whole
Yeah.
family, like, that's it, and I don't think people quite understand that part of it of, like, there is a cost
Uh-huh,
in one way or another
uh-huh.
to engaging in different settings, different environments, different social settings for neurodivergent people that, like, they're like, "Well, why can't you just go? Why can't you just go to this? Why can't you just come to the thing?" It's like,
Yeah.
well,
We have to think about
you
all
don't
the
know the
things that are there.
dysregulation that's gonna come from this and how long it's gonna take for some people to recover from that.
Yep. Yep. Like, there's so many things, like, will there safe foods be there? Is there dangerous places they can take off and run to? And, like, water, is there, like, so many people that he's like, are gonna be in his face and trying to, like, you know, are there gonna be kids that don't understand and don't get it, and he gets upset and he might swing or something? Like, there's so many things we have to, like, calculate just to try to leave or also just bring all his things to make sure he's comfortable, and even still, it's not always gonna be a win. Like, we could bring everything we could pack so much and bring it, and it still may not be enough for him to feel regulated in that, and so then when we get home, it's just, it may take a while for him to get back to feeling normal and safe and protected in his own space again. So,
Right.
yeah, learning to say no, learning where to draw boundaries, things that are worth trying, that are not worth trying. We may miss out on a lot of things, but we've come to or my wife goes and I stay with Huxley, or I go and she stays with Huxley. So then it becomes this thing where we don't get to do as much stuff together anymore, or experience these things together anymore, which of course is hard, but we're going to do whatever it takes to keep our son happy and safe.
Right. Right. Yeah, you guys do that so beautifully of being a great team together and,
Yeah.
you
It's not
yeah,
always easy.
and you need all the support you can get with that because, it's there's another layer of this of still having a difference in communication at this point that, he can't just go up and tell somebody, like, you guys know what he wants, you guys know what he
Yeah.
needs, but, like,
Yeah.
he couldn't just tell someone, "Hey, I'm feeling sick right now." Like,
No, you
So
have to
that's a
watch his cues 100%. So you have to know him. It's like you have to have known him and spent time with him regularly in his space for you to be able to even pick up on his cues. Like our daughter does a really good job at it because obviously she's his big sister and she's in it. But even like some of the closest family and friends, it's like if you're not here often, to see, when he comes and gets us for something or how he wants his chicken presented to him
Mhm.
or, those sorts of things. It could throw off his whole day. And so it's just not like that. It's not as simple as it is for other people to be like, I'm going to get a sitter tonight.
No,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, or we're going to get a sitter so that we can go to this party together or whatever. We can't just do that.
No,
So
no,
I wish we had that, but we don't. And as our daughter gets older, she'll, and she's already great with him, but as she gets older, we'll have that more. But also, I'm not going to be relying on her as my full-time daycare either. So, uh,
no.
yeah, I mean, it's just different.
What do you wish more people understood about communication and differences, specifically when it comes to Huxley?
Communication wise, I feel like the biggest thing is that people assume because he's non-verbal or non-speaking that he's not understanding also. And I feel like that is the largest miscommunication. Like people will speak about him like he's not in the room. I mean, I feel like that's something, I might be like telling you something about my daughter, for example, with her in the room, like a story about her without her being included, but it's just done differently. Like he understands everything we're saying to him and he'll know if I'm saying like, "Oh, Huxley, blah 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 blah." He'll be like looking at me like, "What are you saying?"
You talking
Or
about
if I
me?
say, "Huxley, we're gonna go do this." He knows. He'll get up and go do it. So he fully grasps what we're saying to him, and he's so intelligent. He's so smart. And I think people think because he doesn't talk, they think that that means he's not smart, and that he's not educated, and he doesn't know what's going on around him, or he doesn't understand what you're saying to him. So that's a huge thing that I think that I always try to express to people, like, you know, um, well, I always tell Sharia not that long ago that one of the hardest things for me is when people come to our house, say bye to everybody but Huxley or say hi to everybody but Huxley because he doesn't say it back. And it like literally makes me get choked up because it's like he is still a human being in this house and
And
he
he's right
still
here.
knows.
He's
Yeah,
right
and he
here.
knows he knows you came to his home and you acknowledged every single person but him. And I guess I can understand. If I really think about it, I can understand how that can get difficult because he's not sitting there holding conversations with you. It can be hard, but like you would say bye-bye to a little baby or something that's not speaking yet. So I
Yes.
just feel like
Yes.
he should be owed that same thing. He knows you're coming, he knows you're leaving, he knows like I mean, he's more in tune with you being here than you probably would ever understand.
Yes. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I mean, he picks up on all those tiny little nuances that, like,
everything.
everything.
Everything. Yeah. Sam came here just a little side story. Sam came here not that long ago. She was having a bad day and she was very emotional, and Huxley never left her side. Like, he knew that she was sad without her having to say anything to him, and he stuck by her, like, cuddled her or just sat by her feet or sat by her legs, something the entire time she was here because and if he would walk away to grab something, he'd, like, check that she knew, "I'm coming back. I'm not leaving you
He did
forever."
not.
And then he'd come back and I was just like, he knows Auntie's sad and he's not leaving. Like he recognizes that, which I think some of the most intelligent, like grown men in this world don't know how to check people's emotions. So
No.
I'm like, this is a
No.
beautiful superpower that he has where he can like, he just feels so deeply like he can read emotions and things like that, where he is in tune with everything, like
Which I think is another really big misconception
not
that people
feeling
have of like, oh, if you're autistic, you can't read emotions at all. And maybe there's some people who can't, and some people who can, but
or that they're not loving or like yeah, like he
there's
gives
no
hugs and
empathy
kisses
or
constantly. Yeah. Even if I like yell at the dog for barking, Huxley will start crying. Like he does
he
not
knows.
like he knows that's an angry
Yes.
voice and
Yes.
he's like, I don't like that. Like
Right. Right.
yeah, no, that is a huge misconception. And like, oh, you may never get a hug or a kiss or eye contact or all those things. Like those are a lot of things they tell you. I get all of those things from him.
Oh my God.
And so do other
Yes.
people. Like, it's not
Yes.
just me, like, that's how he shows his love. He likes to go up and give you a kiss or put his nose to yours or something. Again, not everybody's the same. And I know that physical touch and things like that can be very difficult, but, like, it shouldn't be such a blanket
No. No.
Or like your son will never give you a hug. He will
Like, how
never
can
give
you
you a kiss.
say that? Like, how can you say never? And
Yeah, deep
he is,
breaths.
yeah, he notices so many things that, yeah,
Oh, yeah. He
I'm
notices if I
completely
move something
oblivious to,
a half an
so,
inch. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, he notices if I change one thing in the house. He notices if somebody gets a new perfume or spray. Because he knows the smell. He, like, relies on the smells. Like, the slightest change of something on somebody, he knows. This child is almost 7, he notices when I paint my nails.
Mhm.
Like, he'll take time to be like, "Wait a minute, you have a different color on your nails," and he'll, like, look at each of them, like, "Bro, that is
Yeah.
so cute." Like, you know? Like, "Yeah, mommy did my nails, good job." Like, he knows. I'm like, "My wife probably doesn't even know I painted my nails or dyed
No,
my hair or"
exactly. Huxley knows, though.
But Huxley knows.
Yes. I love it, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So I just think that, like, that's one of the big things. Is like, there's so much if you take the time to learn it that he communicates in so many ways without saying a single word.
What's one idea from autistic adults that's kinda challenged your initial assumptions about autism and Huxley that has kinda stuck and made a difference for you?
There's so much here because I feel like that's really how I learned everything I could about who to be for Huxley or like what
Hmm.
we were gonna do was listening to actually autistic adults who have been through these experiences of some of these things whose parents didn't know better or didn't research or didn't, the times were different. Um, so there's a lot, like with ABA, that was a big thing I learned was I listened to a lot of autistic adults who said that they're healing from trauma from ABA therapy from when they were kids and that they're in such, like, intense therapy now trying to heal from what the damage ABA did and, like, some things that they've allowed to happen in their life because they were taught to
Hmm.
do what others said and
Yep.
to those sorts of things. I never wanted that for him. Another big thing is that as of right now, he'll never as of right now, I shouldn't say never. As of right now, he will not go to a public school because of the fact that he's nonverbal. He can't come home and tell me if something bad happened. I believe I would see it in his cues and his behaviors, but I never want that to be something that's happening to him. And so for right now, he will be homeschooled and I will not put him in that situation because again, I've heard many things when adult who now speaks did not speak as a child. Things happened at school. They were never able to tell their parents to make it stop. Another one of the big things was the fact that even if they're nonverbal, they can understand everything because I did hear a lot of stories from autistic adults who said, I remember being in the room and listening to people talking about me, thinking I didn't understand what they were saying. And so that stuck with me. I would never want Huxley to feel that way. I don't know. It's really a lot of things that like really stuck with me. And I'm really thankful that I learned from it, like that there's so many adults who are brave enough to put their stories out there for parents like us who are learning and wanting to do the right thing. I'm proud of them for putting their stories out there and I'm thankful for them because then we can learn from that because obviously how else would we know?
How else would you know?
Um, yeah. Yeah, and again, their experience may be a lot different than Huxley's, but at least it's shown me what they remember and what they felt and what they wouldn't not want. If they could go back in time, what they would not have wanted to do. So yeah, I just think learning from autistic adults has been a huge thing for me. And learning a lot about the sensory part of the things was a big part for me too. That
Yeah,
changed
if
the
you don't
game a little.
have, like, the understanding that, like, I just think of the super, super basic of over responsive and under responsive, of, like, not knowing that, like, "Hey, my child might not feel pain from this thing that I might feel pain from,
Yep.
or this thing that, like, no, the tag that doesn't bother me might really, really bother them, and they be me very sensitive to it." And if you don't know that,
Hmm.
you're gonna be like, "What's the deal? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Wwhy? You're being
That's the
dramatic."
same as
Like,
the food. That's the same as food.
yes.
People will say they'll eat when they're hungry. That is like one of the biggest things that the biggest lies you're told about a child that's in any way neurodivergent
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he would rather starve to death than eat a food that sensory wise causes him so much discomfort. The smell, the texture, the color, even like the way, the shape of it. Like, I'll never forget it stuck with me forever that Huxley used to eat Teddy Grahams and he would feel them with his thumb before he would eat any of them. And any one that had the slightest misshape, like didn't have the perfect detail, got tossed to the side and we couldn't see it. Like to us, it looked exactly the same as every other teddygram, but he would not eat those ones because they were not perfect. And so like that sticks with me, thinking that they'll just eat whatever, like they should eat what we're having for dinner or whatever. Those things are just crazy because he will not eat. He will starve. He will starve. Like it's just he would rather starve than not have his safe foods. And I just think that if that's another sensory thing. Same as
Absolutely.
knowing, the responsivity thing. You need to know how, like, if they're stressed, do they need to be in a quiet room or do they need to like slam their body into a pillow or
Yes.
something
Yes.
150 times
Right. And also not like
or spin?
pathologizing that need for some people, kids, that they do need to be very physical to get this
What they need.
to regulate and to
Yeah.
not be like, stop doing that when really, like, as long as they're not hurting themselves or anybody else, like, hey,
Right.
we
Like
gotta
sit
get it out.
still or it's bedtime. You have to lay down. Like usually at bedtime, Huxley wants to slam himself and do somersaults on the bed and
Yes.
slam down as hard as he can because he's got to
Yes.
get all of that out before he can
Exactly.
go to sleep comfortably.
Exactly.
And yeah, a lot of those things would be so confusing and we'd be like, lay the
Yep.
down if
Yes.
we had no idea
Right.
what he needed and what he was going through. I feel like that would be very, I mean, I could understand that being a frustration for parents who didn't understand. You'd be like, why won't you just go to bed? Like lay down and
I
watch TV
remember
like
that with
like
Renan,
we do.
like, the first time at OT when the therapist was like, "No, she needs this, like, really high input before bed," and it was like,
Mhm.
"What? Huh?"
Mhm. It's so
We've
okay, she
never
actually needs it
intentionally done that before, and it's not just, "Oh, she's just still has a lot of energy." It's like, "No, this is a need, and we need to
for
figure
her
out
to
how to
yeah.
fulfill that so we can be regulated and move to bedtime."
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of crazy imagining like not being educated on that stuff and be I mean, of course, there's still gonna be a million days where I'm like, I don't know what he needs right now. Like, we have tried all the normal things for us to try to get him to like soothe or calm down and none of it's working. There are still days where I'm still trying to like Shri and I are scrambling right like chickens with our head cut off, trying to be like, what's going to calm him down right now?
Yes.
And it's different all the time. For the most part, you have these things where you're like, okay, we know if he does these flips or if he gets on his swing and he starts spinning or he jumps onto his crash pad, like these can help. Or sometimes just being outside or the water, but you have to know the things to try. You have to have the tools like
Yes.
in your toolbox to an
Yes.
extent
Yes.
and just hope that one of those works in that moment
Right.
because
Yeah,
it
and I
could
feel like
change.
there's some really good tools that can come from OT and speech and things like that. That like, how else would you know that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things like chewies and the different types of swings and the different types of, I don't know, climbing or just like
Hmm?
fidget things. All of that was like definitely helpful coming from OT and them being able to personalize like, what they noticed he needed or instead of you just being like, "Oh, these are sensory toys advertised for autism and ADHD. We should just buy them all." They can kind of more personalize and try out the things that they think that he'll like
Right.
based off what he responds well to, and then you can get him. So I do think OT and speech are great therapies. Just not don't make it be like a Bible. If your child doesn't want to go one day, like they
Yes.
don't need to go, or if they would need to take the summer off, just
Yes.
again let them lead with that and read
Yes.
their cues, and it's gonna be okay if they miss it.
It's absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we
yeah,
get so stuck in like, but no, we have an appointment. We have to go. We have to go. And I can't cancel last
nope,
minute. And like, I
yeah,
get it. It's not always that simple, but
but
sometimes it is not worth
yeah.
forcing
I
them
mean,
to go.
even with him getting haircuts with you, like we'll plan it, and it's like he might wake up one day and just be so like dysregulated, out
Yep.
of sorts all day, and I'm like, this is not the day to
No.
to add a haircut to the mix.
And
Like,
last time that's what we did. It was like, hey,
yeah,
not today.
we gotta move it. Yep,
Yep.
not today. We can't do it today,
Like
because I'm
those
not gonna make
things.
it worse for him.
No. Those
Yeah,
things are not worth like stressing your child out even more than they already are. And then to think about the next time you have that experience, like,
they're gonna think of it like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if
That's so
they're
true
not,
because they remember that. They remember, like,
absolutely.
"This made me feel like shit, and now she's making me do it again."
Right.
Like You wanna
Right.
make it a positive experience as much as you can.
As much as you absolutely can and accommodate in every way that you
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
But I don't think enough people realize that, like, you've gotta put their needs and their regulation first, like, whenever possible,
yeah,
right? Like, you don't
yeah,
wanna make those experiences a traumatic experience because, I mean, sure, could someone just never cut their hair? Yeah, like, whatever. If you don't cut your hair, you don't cut your hair, but if we can build a
realistically, yeah,
realistically not, if we can build a safe, it might take time to build up a safe,
yeah,
experience of that, but I've been in situations where people have
forced
forced
it.
it, and I can understand why they would need that done, but I'm like, I want this child to be able to come back and not be
Yeah,
nervous and scared, like, because it's just gonna get easier for them, and we've seen that with Huxley too, like,
yeah.
the progress of having that.
Yeah, I mean, it started out as really bad every time we did a haircut, like, he would just cry the whole time and hate it and try to get away, and now he like, over time, like, yesterday she cut his hair, he laughed the whole time. Like, so it's just, like, accommodating it and where he's safe, whether I needed to hold him, whether Sam took 5 minutes to let him just feel the vibrating of the tools, and then he'd let her, and now he, like, literally tips his head for her and, like, moves how she needs it, like, so I think it obviously was not easy to get to this point. I mean, it was a lot of, like, hard work and figuring it out and, like, patience, but, like, we did it together and now he like feel and obviously I understand not everybody is lucky to have a best friend who cuts hair because like that has been a huge blessing because I can't imagine a stranger cutting his hair in a loud salon or something. So like I hit the jackpot there in many ways. But like, just even if you just take that patiently or just bring them there to hang out at the hair salon or something has been like, little baby steps, I guess, towards it. But going back to what you were saying about like canceling appointments and stuff, I feel like it's so important to remember that us as adults have days where we don't want to do anything. We have days where we're in a funk or like, hey, today I'm going to stay in my sweatpants. I'm going to do nothing today. And I don't feel like going to work or I don't feel like doing this or that. And I feel like a lot of the time, neurodivergent or not, we don't allow our kids that same opportunity. And so that's something I always pushed with Kira too is like if you ever just need a day, a mental health day home from school, you need to take that. I'm never going to push you to go to school on a day you're not feeling your best. And I think that's the same with Huxley. Like if he's not in the mood for a haircut or the doctor's appointment or whatever, we're not going to go. We're not going to go unless it's like a medical emergency.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, certain times, yeah, but, there's a lot of the times that it's not the end of the world, like,
Right.
it will be okay.
Yeah, and it's gonna be worse for
How do
everyone if they
you
do go.
how do you feel like that less is more has paid off at this point now?
Oh gosh, I just think the less is more approach has opened all of our family honestly up to just like again, it goes back to letting him lead. We're doing less is more. We're letting him just live how he needs to live and us follow that. And it took a lot of stress off of my wife and I. It took a lot of stress off of like all these appointments in your books. Like I always hear of these parents that have like appointments and therapies and in the car all day driving to all these therapies. And I'm like, we just vibed at home today. Like we're not going to all these therapies. I just think he's happier. He feels safer. He feels like, the choice is really his with things that he's doing and not doing. I think it just goes back to letting them lead. Like the less is more is kind of that. Like we just let him show us and it just has like lightened everyone's load.
What choices do you feel like he gets to make now that maybe surprise other people that like, "Oh my god, you're not like, you let your kid do that?" Or, obviously we talked about the iPad screen time, but like,
Mhm.
candy all over your floor, like the autonomy that you guys have given him to do what he needs to do and feel safe and regulated.
Mhm. I think there'd be a lot that would surprise, like, other adults, I guess, which doesn't shock me really, but, like, unless it's something unsafe for him, if he's gonna be putting himself in danger or it's not safe for him to do or eat or touch or whatever or climb, we don't really tell him no. Like, if he wants a 5-gallon size bag of sweet tarts dumped on my floor, that's what's gonna happen, and we let it roll. Like, we don't care. Like, if it makes him happy, if he sometimes we'll get on the floor and we'll dump it with him, like, if that makes him happy. The other thing is if we go somewhere and he wants to leave immediately, we leave. We all leave. He gets to decide that. If we show up at somebody's house for a birthday party and he says, "Nope, I'm out," we're all out. "Thanks for inviting us. We're gone." He doesn't
Mhm.
like it here,
Yep.
or he doesn't wanna be here right now.
Yeah.
I think that would surprise people because I think it's usually like, "Oh, no, we're here, and we need to be appropriate, and we need to be polite, and we need to, like, at least say hi and wait till after cake," or whatever. Um, nope. If Huxley decides he's done, we leave, and he gets to decide that. If he wants to go outside and play in the backyard, more times than not, we go. We've learned that, like, what is the reason for the no? And unless it's, like, we have a good enough reason, like, "Hey, mom's working right now, and you
Yeah.
have to wait,"
Yeah.
or I have it's -100 outside or something, like, there's gotta be a good reason for our no, otherwise there's a reason why he's asking to do that thing in that moment, and if it's not harming anybody, then we just let him do it. And I mean, I guess I could see how some people would think that that's spoiled. And I mean, he is spoiled, but like it also just helps him stay regulated all day. And like he hears no, like he
Yes.
absolutely hears no. And sometimes he handles it very well. And sometimes he's like very angry about it. But like we don't say no unless there's a really good reason for it, because otherwise it just causes dysregulation for no
Yes.
reason. And a lot of the time we don't have things around him that he can't have or do. So it is what it is, and if I say, "No, you can't dump that candy on the floor," he's probably gonna laugh and do it anyway,
He's gonna
so
be like, "Guess what? Watch me." You're like, "Well,
and that's a little thing of, like, letting go a little bit too of my control that I've let go is, like, it didn't hurt anybody. He dumped it on the floor, it didn't kill anything.
yes.
I can clean it up, like, it didn't
Don't
it
make it
didn't
harder than it
affect
needs to
anything."
be, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's so hard. You need to just let the things go that don't matter that much, because otherwise you're gonna be so uptight and stressed all the time, and that's what I would have been. Like, it would stress me out so bad, and then I'd be not that I don't get stressed or be like, "Oh my gosh, the house is a mess," but, like,
yep.
he's happy, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, and you've done your like mindset work around that and making those shifts where you're not expecting him to change and be somebody else.
No.
You're teaching a really big lesson in accommodations.
Yeah.
And that's huge because too many times I think people can assume those accommodations are a negative thing
Yeah.
when that's usually not the case.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even neurotypical kids, if you let them lead, it's gonna go a lot better for you than it won't than otherwise, like, having that control. And I'm very protective of our teenager too, but, like, letting her just, like, come to me with things and, like, letting her have that space to just figure out who she is better than me just, like, controlling her and keeping her trapped, because then she's gonna wanna rebel.
Yep.
Like, so it's just,
Yep.
like, it's the same but different in, like, letting them lead in a sense and just having to let go myself and just, like, whatever. I can very clearly see me and my wife, like, him dumping everything on the floor and us looking at each other and being like,
Yeah. Okay. This is what's happening right now.
"Yep,
This is
this
what
is
he
what it
needs.
is. Yep."
He's happy.
For
He's
whatever reason
regulated.
for whatever reason, this is what he needs right now.
Yes. Yes.
Get it.
What are some things that have made like medical, dental, like the appointments that like are necessary that you guys do have to go to? What's made those easier for you guys or more doable?
Gosh. Well, since that doctor I talked about in the beginning who told us not to worry about him being autistic, he used to go to those appointments still after and just hated it there. And they always made me do the milestone things, and they always made him do like every step. They always do like the pulse thing and standing on the scale and all this stuff, even for like a regular checkup, or we were there for an ear infection and they wanted to do all these things. So the best thing I've found, and I know that not everyone can be this lucky, is we have an amazing doctor who understands him now. She does not make him do things that he doesn't need to do that aren't necessary for the appointment we're going to, or she'll be like, "Hey, do you want to stand on the scale today? No? Cool. We don't need your weight today." So that's been nice. One of the things I talked to her about when we first started seeing her is like sometimes it's a nightmare to bring him here. And if it's like an ear infection or something that you could just give me an antibiotic, she's like, can we message you? And she said, yeah, if it gets to be where he's had several ear infections or what is suspected to be that, I'll have you come in, like reasonably
Mhm.
so.
Mhm.
But like, you know him better than I do. If you think he's got an ear infection and you've seen him have one before, he probably does. Let's give him the antibiotic. So that's been really nice. And like just letting him like at his last appointment, she let him turn the lights off in the room. She put like the smaller light on, lets him jump and up and down off the bed. Just letting him be the same way he would be at home has been, and he was happy the whole time, which before
Yes.
we would leave sweating, both of us crying. I would cry the whole day because of how horrible it went, how exhausted I was from it. So that changed a lot. With the dentist, we're still working on that. He's had dental work, but he had to be put to sleep for it, which is not always ideal. But like they've offered, which is something nice to know, is like he can come there like during the lunch period and hang out there just to like get him used to it and stuff. So those are some things you can do. I think the best thing is to always walk in your first appointment and say, my son is autistic. He's nonverbal. He may not do all the things you want him to do. It's going to be very hard for him to sit in this waiting room or whatever. Like, just be very clear.
Yes.
I used to say it with my voice shaking because I
Mhm.
hated doing it. And now I just walk in, I'm like, this is what we need. And same as like if we've had to go to urgent care or something with him, I go up and I say, that's the first thing I say. And you'll be surprised. They usually will try to give you a spare, like a room to wait in that's private.
Yes.
They turn the lights off. They won't come in the room and bug him unless they have to, those sorts of things. So just like be really open with them and let it all be out there because they can only do what they can do with what they know.
Well, right.
And they may
And they
still
deserve that
disappoint you, but
advocacy too. They deserve those accommodations.
mhm.
100%. It'll make it better for everybody when everyone knows and is on a similar page at least to make it a better
Yeah.
experience. Hopefully next time you guys go to the doctor, it's it's even that much better because
Yeah.
all these accommodations he got this last time.
I really think just being open about it, because like, and some doctors aren't going to care. Some are so
No,
stuck in their ways.
no.
I remember we saw an ER doctor once for an ear infection. He was just like poking at him. He was refusing to not get the pulse thing, and Huxley would not leave it on. And he was trying to like push the guy away and like get away from me. And they wrote in his chart that he was combative. And I just remember being so mad. I was so mad about that. And I'm like, never has to see that guy again. Why am I this mad about it? But
Yeah.
I'm like, because you just don't get it.
You're not
Because you just
respecting
don't get
his
it.
like
Space. And I
Yeah.
was like, he doesn't know how to, he can't tell you, get away from me. I
Yeah.
don't like that.
Yeah.
So he's trying to like push you. And yeah, that I just remember that making me so angry. And also just like my mama heart was just like, he is not, he's the least combative child. Like, how could you say that? He would never hurt anybody. And I'm just like sitting, but I'm like, you know what? What this doctor says doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I just have to let it go. But just going into it with telling them and advocating for your child, I feel like has gone a long way for me.
good. What what other kind of maybe tech hacks or other like smaller things do you want other people to know about that have made things easier for you guys?
I don't have a lot of tech hacks, but I guess obviously, like I said, we have multiple iPads on rotation.
Yes.
Um, and my
Pep
favorite
stuff.
thing that I will always spread the word about because I was so happy to find out about this app is a volume control app. Because he liked to listen to his movies at the highest volume. And some days I would be like, I literally can't hear myself think because his movies are so loud and he loves it as loud as can be. And he's not at the point yet where he wants headphones. I know that's a very common, popular thing, but we try, he's not there yet. He doesn't like the feeling on his face or his head or whatever. But he wants his iPads at a level 100. And after a whole day of listening to it like that, you're just like,
Oh, you're like I am.
a headache, and I was on edge because I never had silence. And so I started researching because fun fact, Apple has no volume lock options in itself. I researched beyond belief on that. Turns out another mom of an autistic child created an app. You pay for it. It's like $5 or $10 or something.
Worth it.
And you can lock the volume at what it's going to be at. The app has to be open in the background or whatever, but like you can lock the volume to stay under a certain amount. And that was a game changer for us because then I could hear myself think. And he can try to turn it up and it'll just go right back to where we set it. That was a game changer for me. And then just like researching the best iPad cases because he can break literally anything.
Give me the most
I
indestructible.
might need to like design my own or something because
Hey,
there's
just like
nothing
the
that he
other
hasn't
mom in the
with the
sound
app.
app, right? Like, hey, you know what? I have this problem. I'm gonna figure something out
Fix
how to
it.
fix this.
Literally.
This is
Well, between Shreya and Scott, they should be able to design something. Right?
they totally could.
They totally could.
They could.
Yeah, because I was like, you should have seen me like on ChatGPT looking at the most indestructible iPad case. I'm like, he tried it, broke it,
Nope,
tried it, broke it, tried it, broke it.
He's
There's
the real
nothing.
test. He's the real test of like, you guys want to show a video of you like throwing this iPad off a building and then driving over it with the truck? Wait.
But
You gotta
has
let Huxley
Huxley
handle it first.
tried it yet? I know that's what I tell everybody about. I feel like Huxley should we should be like the product testing family. Like if you ever say like these floors are life proof, this fridge will last through anything, this whatever, I bet you any money my son can prove you wrong.
Yep.
If it can make it through a couple months with him, then you've got
Then
yourself some good
it's
shit.
worth it. You can say that then with confidence.
Yeah, we'll have to get them on that iPad case design.
So let's talk about the joy that comes from you trusting him and giving him this respect and autonomy and letting him lead. How does that bring him joy, you joy, your wife joy? I know the shift in my own family, but how does that change your family?
Gosh, I just think it like not having the pressure was a huge thing, and then like just seeing those moments of like something that would have drove me absolutely off a cliff years ago, like I don't know, like for example, him dumping a whole 5-gallon thing of candy out, seeing his smile and his eyes sparkle and like his whole world light up because we let him do it and maybe we're laughing with him at it is just like it's a beautiful thing to see that like something so small can bring him so much happiness or just like I don't know, splashing water me or running the hose constantly. Like those little things that like normally I'd be like, we cannot do this. This is not okay. But I see how happy he is doing it or how happy I am watching him do it or Shreya is watching him do it. Like it's just opened up that space of like being able to again, like I said in the beginning, is seeing the happiness and the beauty in the small things that like, maybe he wants to sit and throw rocks. Hell, he has a box of rocks in his bedroom that have been just special to him from wherever he's gone that he throws all over his room because they're special to him. And I would have never seen the beauty in some of those rocks or, he takes the time to see those little things. And I just think watching him watching him lead and do the things that bring him joy has brought me joy and my wife joy and things we would have never found joy before because we would have never done those things or how satisfying it can be or whatever to like pick up handfuls of sweet tarts and drop them, the sounds they make and all of it. It's just seeing him happy is like our favorite thing in the whole wide world. All those things just make it easier and less stressful for us.
That makes me think of Brennan and her stuffy collections.
Yes.
And how I used to be like, we don't need more. Like,
yep.
We have
these things are pointless.
Right? Or we don't need another one. I remember when she had this cute little stuffed pig and she wanted another one a different time, right? Like, and I was like, but we already have one of these. Like,
you have that.
You have that. Do we really need another one? And did we really like, and that's a logical thing for me to say, right? Like, do we really need another one?
Yeah.
But like understanding that for her, collecting these stuffies, the Beanie Baby, whatever it is now, it brings her so much joy that now we go thrifting to find them because they're much cheaper at a thrift store.
Yep. And she's already got all the expensive ones.
Yes. And like, she loves that. And I kind of thought it was ridiculous before I understood.
I mean,
what it was. And now, like, I'm glad I've learned and grown. But yeah, I used to be pretty dismissive of like that thing that brought her
makes
joy.
Sense. It makes sense to have been like that until you figure out like what
until
is it
you know.
Yeah.
And now
as you were saying that, I was just thinking, I think it's my fault. She has a stuffy addiction. Didn't I get her first stuffed animal?
Yes, you did. You started this.
I think this is my fault.
It's your fault. We have a video proof of you giving it to her.
Yeah,
and she's just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, I remember that was like the happiest day of her life, and she was a baby. So yeah,
they still make her happy.
Yeah,
until whenever they keep making her happy, I don't care what age she is. Like, I was just watching a video earlier of an autistic adult talking about stuffies and like who has them, who loves them. And it's like, there's no cutoff for this stuff, right? People can judge, people can say what they want. Like, no. And I get like,
my teenager still loves them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, there's no matter. Like, oh my God, your child's this age. They really have these. Like, no, that's a bunch of BS. No.
And if we're being honest, we think that some of them are so cute. It's like if it made sense for me to have this or I would actually cuddle with it, like this thing is so cute.
I know.
Instead, we do the adult version and get like 3,000 throw blankets. So really, we're doing the same thing. Like we're really doing the same thing.
Exactly.
It's just in a different
Exactly.
realm, and, like, yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot of things Huxley could, like, ask for, like, as soon as we find something he loves, because it's hard, he doesn't gravitate towards a lot of toys or things like that, so as soon as we find that thing, I buy every option there is of
Yes.
it because he
Yes.
loves it, and I wanna see that joy, and I will do
Yes.
everything to see that joy again, so, like,
Yes.
"Oh, he loved that car, I'm gonna get every option they have of that," and then maybe tomorrow he's gonna be like, "I freaking hate those,"
Right.
because that's life.
Because you don't know when all of a sudden their thing is gonna change. Hey, if it makes them
God.
happy right now, some of those silly things that we think are frivolous and ridiculous even,
Yeah.
like, to them,
Yeah.
it is a big deal, and even if they
Yeah.
can't communicate or show their appreciation, like,
You can
it's
see
still
the
worth it.
happiness.
It's
Yep.
still worth
So
it.
worth it. Yep, and it's not hurting anybody.
No.
Maybe your bank
Might hurt
account, but
your
that's it.
pocketbook, bank account, maybe a little bit, but,
Oh god. Yeah.
stuffies aren't hurting anyone, the cars aren't hurting
Nope.
anyone.
Nope.
What's one way parents listening to this now could practice letting their kids lead more often?
I think this could be a huge for us, it was, like, over time, we realized what worked and what didn't, but, like, I remember something I said to my wife. She's military mindset, so, like, no is, like, a very quick response, and so I
Mhm.
remember being like, "But why?" I remember one time just asking her, "Do you know why you said no?" And she was like, "No, not really. Like, I don't know why I said no." And I remember just being like, "Okay." So then from there, she started, like, asking herself, "Why is my first reaction no? And, well, is it hurting anything?" And so, like, I feel like that could be a first step, and I guess for me, it was I don't know how, but it was just easier for me to be like, "I don't really see the reason to say no, so I don't say no," except for, like, when I'm being overprotective. But for her, that was just a common response, and I feel like that is for a lot of us, that's how we grew up. We
It's
grew up with
autopilot.
parents who were just like, "No,
Yep.
no, that I don't wanna deal with that, no." Just take a second to, like, think about why your first reaction was no, and if you don't have that good of a reason, try letting it go. Try letting it go, try letting them dump something on the floor, and see how you feel. See the joy it brings them, maybe that'll be your instant relief of being like, "That made them so happy, and it took me 2 minutes to clean up later. It was so worth it." And I think as those moments happen, you'll slowly start to change that. Taking that moment to be like, why would I say no to this? Is it gonna hurt anybody? See the joy it brings if it's hurting, if it did hurt anybody. Start letting the little things go like that. And then over time it becomes like your new habit of like, letting them lead.
Ashley, thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom and just a snippet of the things that you've learned raising Huxley. And I love how clear it is of letting our kids lead isn't about just giving up and being permissive and not being involved. It's so much more about listening and respecting and finding joy in who they already are and not trying to make them be someone that they're not. So, to everyone listening, I truly hope this conversation leaves you with permission to slow down, follow your child's cues, notice the beauty in the small things like they do, and the beauty that comes from letting go of this forcefulness, this control we feel like we need to have, and to start trusting them more. Thank you for being here for another episode of Neurodivergent Not Broken. Till next time, we'd love to hear from you. What resonated from this episode? What questions can we answer? How could we support you? Let us know your thoughts. Peace out.